News with the Giants real fast. Prince Amukamara out for the game. Beeson out for the game. JPP going to try to play, it looks like, limited roles. So the Giants, they got an interesting game. Redskins, they play the Patriots. Giants are playing Tampa, by the way. Interesting game for the Redskins this week. And, of course, the division matchup between Philadelphia and Dallas. We've checked in on the Cowboys a couple of times this week. We're going to do it one final time. Chuck Cooperstein, 103.3 ESPN in Dallas. Where the Cowboys 2-5, 5 straight losses without Tony Romo, and obviously not the way they wanted this season to go, Chuck. But hey, a win against the Eagles always probably feels a little bit better. But I've said this week: if they can't win this week or next week, they got to win one of these two. Otherwise, getting Romo back might not matter.
No, very true. It's all very true. I'm sorry. I was distracted by text right now. My dogs are very distracted now, too. So I apologize for that.
He's mad at my comment.
Yeah, well, they're not a very good team right now, and you know it's unfortunate that things have happened the way that they have happened. So, but you know, it's not like the Eagles have been great, and while the Cowboys have not been very good, the Cowboys have been competitive, save for the game against New England. And it's not like the Cowboys couldn't win this game and, you know, somehow at 3-5, you know, still have an outside shot here. I mean, that's the way the division is this year.
Oh, I agree. I think if they win the game and they get Romo back, they got a shot. But to have him have to win every single game virtually, I mean, if they're 2-7 when he gets back, you're asking them to virtually run the table. I think that's asking a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, crazier things have happened, and certainly this is a league of parity. And although this year it seems that there are several that have actually broken away from the pack and are kind of dominant, but you know, all it takes is, you know, a bad division, and the NFC East is a bad division this year, and you somehow catch a hot streak. You never know. Look, Carolina made it with a losing record last year, so who's to say that you couldn't do it here?
Yep, I'd agree with that because you know, I think 9-7 is being a little you know, optimistic that someone might win this thing at 9-7. But hey, you know, obviously this week is very interesting because it's going to be Dez Bryant playing for his second week. He was virtually taken out of that game last week. Do you think his role expands? Because the first time these two teams played, he didn't play, nor did Hardy. They're getting those two pieces back for this game, and they already beat Philadelphia.
Well, I have to believe he will, because one of the criticisms of the game plan last week against Seattle was how conservative it was, and that the Cowboys were showing, you know, way too much deference to Seattle's secondary. You know, Matt Castle can throw the ball down the field, likes to throw the ball down the field. I think Linehan likes to throw the ball down the field, and I wonder if he was overruled by the head coach. You know, no one will come clean on that, but I have to believe that Dez is far more involved this week. He had 6 targets last week, caught 2. You know, really, unfortunately, his absence showed that the Cowboys don't have a really legitimate alternative to him. Maybe his coming back and being more into it this week, maybe that opens it up a little more for Terrence Williams. Maybe that opens it up more for Cole Beasley in the slot. You know, maybe that the Cowboy passing game can become a bit more formidable than really it's been ever since Romo went out of the lineup. And with Dez being there, and if you try to throw the ball more down the field, it means that you've got to commit farther down the field defensively, and that also means the potential to actually run the ball exists. And Darren McFadden showed, you know, a couple weeks ago that he can run the ball, and they can run the ball behind that offensive line and be the type of offense that they were a year ago. So, you know, so we'll see. Listen, the Cowboys, if nothing else, even when they lose, the way they lose is so fascinating that it is absolutely appointment television.
What has been, then, the biggest criticism about this 5-game losing streak? What is it just simply, hey, the quarterback play? But what is the reason behind the 5-game streak that most prevalently comes up in shows like yours?
Well, primarily, it's always comes back to the quarterback, although it shouldn't, because, you know, it's being way too simplistic, because football has too many players involved needing to do their jobs in order for a team to succeed. But it certainly comes down to, you know, that Brandon Weeden, when he played, was captain checkdown, so that Castle comes in against the Giants out of the off week. He does try to throw the ball down the field, but he throws 3 interceptions, and one of them gets returned for a touchdown. They have a kickoff return that gets turned around for a touchdown, and they lose by 7 to the Giants. And this, they lose. They split with the Giants this year, despite being -6 in takeaway ratio, which is just absurd. And that leads to the other thing, that the Cowboys went nearly 300 snaps before forcing a turnover. They forced a turnover. Sean Lee picked off a pass in the Eagle game, and then last week against Seattle, Greg Hardy intercepts a pass when he tips it to himself. It was nearly 300 plays that it took between turnovers. Cowboys forced a bunch of them last year. They forced 29 last year, but they've had none. And it's very hard even if you have Romo playing quarterback and asking your offense to consistently go 75 and 80 yards to score when your defense and your special teams don't have the ability to flip the field by forcing turnovers or by having good returns. They're losing Dwayne Harris to free agency. A lot of us thought was going to be a huge loss to them. The Cowboy defenders will say, well, you can't pay everybody. But basically, when all you have as a punt returner is a guy that is back there to catch the ball and hopefully not fumble, which Cole Beasley didn't do against the Giants, that really hurts your offense a lot. So, there's a lot of stuff going on here. And when you're 2-5, there's generally a lot of stuff. It's never just one or two things.
No doubt. Is there right now, is there a lesser of two evils between Castle and Whedon? Who's the fans pick between those two guys?
They want Romo
back. That makes a lot of sense. Hey, look, I think this shows how important he is.
I think they're more willing to take the shot with Castle because, they've seen Whedon, and not just here with the Cowboys, but also saw him with the Browns, and know that the guy struggles to win. Castle, at least at one time, did play winning football in this league, and he has the ability to do more than what certainly they asked of Whedon and what Whedon has shown in the past. So, Whedon has these wild numbers that really look great. Unless you actually are watching the game or watching the tape and seeing how those numbers are being amassed. The way Castle plays quarterback, the way he wants to play quarterback, I think is something that it gives the Cowboys a better chance. But let's face it, Mike, when we all know this, that you need a backup quarterback to hold down the fort for you for a couple of weeks. Okay, if you have a long-term injury to your starting quarterback, then you're pretty much up the creek without a paddle. And, that's while, again, I don't believe that it all comes down on the quarterback. You cannot have lousy quarterback play. You can get away with pedestrian quarterback play and win in the NFL, but you can't have lousy quarterback play. And unfortunately for the Cowboys, in 4 of the 5 games that they've played in the losing streak, they've had really pedestrian to poor quarterback play.
I can't agree with you. Can't agree with you more there. The quarterback play, and we're going through the same thing here with the starter. And Bradford's been average at best, and people are already clamoring for Sanchez, who did win in Dallas last year on Thanksgiving Day. The Eagles have won twice in Dallas. I got to ask you, Chuck. Obviously, these photos have just come out. Hardy, I don't know what people's perception of him are down there, but this doesn't look good. It makes it look even worse. Has this quickly spread through the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
I haven't seen him. So I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, but, okay. This just came out about 45 minutes ago. The photos.
I haven't seen it. I've been working on some other stuff. It was related to my real day job, which is broadcasting the Mavericks. But what people think of Hardy, there are the Cowboy fans who just wear their Cowboys colored glasses and just don't care, and simply don't care. And there are others who do care. Who are, who love Hardy's talent, who love what Hardy brings as far as the intensity that he plays with and obviously the production that he plays with, because the games that he's played 3 games. In every game, he has made a difference-making play. And those players are very, very difficult to find. But, when you have, where you have a guy where every time you wonder, okay, what shoe is going to fall next? It's got to be on a fan base, and it has to be draining within the locker room because you just hope that you have him. You hope that you have him full bore and ready to go. And certainly he hasn't helped himself, I don't think, but by his behavior. Not that he's done anything wrong since he's been with the Cowboys, but just, how flippant he has been at times, and that, just shrugging stuff off like it's no big deal. Well, when you're Greg Hardy and you have your history, everything winds up being a big deal.
Chuck Cooperstein, you mentioned at your day job. I'll ask you real quick. You'll see the Sixers, I guess, next week. They have 3 years into this. What is the thought around the league about Philadelphia and the continuing product that they put out on the court?
Well, it's a disaster. It's a horrific plan. But having said that, I'm a huge Jahlil Okafor fan. I think Sam Hinkie, I'm shocked, took him, if for no other reason than he would seemingly go against type for what Philadelphia ultimately wants to do and how they want to play. But I love the kid. The Lakers are absolutely dying right now that they didn't take him and took D'Angelo Russell instead. Laker coaches are already just shaking their heads that Russell's not picking things up the way he should. But, you just can't keep either churning the roster at the bottom or not being able to have not only young talent, because, yes, you want to be – if you're the Sixers and you're a bad team, you want to build with young talent. But you have to ultimately get people into that team who are professional, who know how to win, who know what life is like in the NBA, and not give up on players to the extent that all you're doing is continually churning. And frankly, I don't know how the fan base in Philly has put up with it as much as they have. They seem to have put up with it. They seem to accept the plan as it is, thinking that there's going to be a payoff down the road. Now, maybe Dario Saric comes over next year and he winds up being the player that a lot of people think he's going to be, and you team him up with Okafor, and all of a sudden that's pretty exciting stuff. But they need a point guard, they need a small forward, they need a whole lot of stuff going on there right now. But I can't wait to see Okafor play, because I think everybody talks about how the NBA has gone small, and everybody wants to play small. 4 out, 1 in type of basketball. And all I know is that whenever anyone has the chance to obtain a legitimate center, a back-to-the-basket center, a rim-protecting center, a guy who could get you 20 if you get it to him on the low block, they're trying to find that player. That is the first player that they are always trying to find. And the 4 out, 1 in stuff is only a reaction to the fact that they can't find that player. But the moment you do, you're ahead of the game. And I think from that standpoint, Philadelphia, even though they may not have wanted to do it, may have actually taken a step forward.
Good stuff from Chuck Cooperstein, 103.3 in Dallas, and the voice of the Dallas Mavericks. The Sixers will play the Mavericks next week. They do play the Cavs tonight in Cleveland. Second look at LeBron, and obviously looking for their first win of the season. Chuck, it's always a pleasure. Enjoy all the action this weekend.